Warning: Venus squares Neptune May 22nd. The love you think is real may be a beautiful illusion. There is someone in your life right now who looks different than they actually are. Not because they are lying to you, because you are lying to yourself about them. You have taken the version of this person that exists on their best day, in the right light, in the moment when everything between you felt like fate, and you have painted that version over every other version. Over the silence, over the distance, over the thing they said 3 months ago that you forgave too quickly because forgiving felt easier than seeing. On May 22nd, Venus in Cancer will form an exact square to Neptune in Aries, and for a few hours, the most beautiful lie you have been telling yourself about love will become visible. Not to punish you, to free you. Venus square Neptune is the most seductive and the most dangerous aspect in astrology. When the goddess of love meets the god of the ocean at a 90-degree angle, reality bends. The edges soften. The flaws disappear. And what remains is not the person standing in front of you, but the feeling you had the first time they made you believe you were seen. That feeling is intoxicating. And intoxication, by definition, means your judgment is impaired. But here is what makes this particular square extraordinary. Venus is in Cancer, the sign of emotional need, of home, of the part of you that wants to be held without having to ask. And Neptune is in Aries, the sign that just received Saturn and has been quietly rewriting the rules about what is real and what is wishful thinking. When Venus in Cancer squares Neptune in Aries, the need to feel safe collides with the capacity to deceive yourself about what safety actually looks like. You may have been calling something love that is actually just the absence of loneliness. You may have been calling someone home who is actually just familiar. And familiar is not the same as safe. In the next few minutes, you will learn 3 things. First, the mythology beneath this aspect, and why the ancients understood that love and illusion are not opposites, but twins born from the same water. Second, where this square lands in your chart by sign, and which room of your life is most vulnerable to the beautiful lie. And third, a practice built for the 48 hours surrounding May 22nd that strips the fog without destroying the tenderness beneath it. If you have been avoiding a conversation with someone you love, if your chest tightens when you imagine telling them the truth about how you actually feel, if there is a name that makes your heart race and your logic shut down simultaneously, stay here. This aspect was made for you. The Greeks told a story that lives inside this square. Aphrodite was born from the sea. When Kronos severed the sky from the earth and cast the severed flesh of Uranos into the ocean, the water foamed, and from that foam the goddess of love emerged. She was born from violence and beauty in the same breath, from the meeting of sky and sea, from the place where what is above and what is below could no longer be told apart. That is Venus. Not the gentle greeting card version, the original. The goddess who was born where clarity drowned. And Poseidon, Neptune's Greek name, ruled that same ocean. The water that birthed beauty also concealed everything beneath its surface. Poseidon was not evil. He was ungovernable. He did not intend to deceive. He simply could not help but make the surface look calm, while the currents beneath pulled you under. And here is the detail most people forget. It was Poseidon who violated Medusa in Athena's temple. Neptune is the force that takes something sacred, something devoted, and distorts it into something unrecognizable. Not with malice, with fog. With a slow, quiet erosion of clarity until you can no longer tell where devotion ends and delusion begins. When Venus squares Neptune, you are standing in the water where beauty was born, and the water is deeper than it looks. The surface shimmers. The light catches it at exactly the right angle, and beneath it, the current is pulling in a direction you cannot see. That is not a warning to stop loving. It is a warning to open your eyes while you love. Because the love that survives open eyes is the love that was real. And the love that dissolves the moment you look clearly was never love. It was the feeling of love borrowed from your own longing and projected onto someone who happened to stand in the right light. Your body already knows this square is approaching. Your skin. A heightened sensitivity to touch this week. Not pain, but receptivity. As if your nerve endings have been turned up, registering every brush of fabric, every accidental contact with another person's hand. Venus in Cancer amplifies the body's hunger for physical tenderness. Under the square to Neptune, that hunger becomes indiscriminate. You reach for comfort without checking whether the source of comfort is real. Your eyes, a softening of focus. You may have noticed that your gaze lingers longer on beautiful things this week. A face, a photograph, a memory that arrives in soft focus like a scene from a film you half remember. Neptune squares Venus through the eyes first. It does not blind you. It filters. It removes the sharp edges from everything you look at so that nothing appears as harsh as it actually is. That filter is gorgeous. It is also a lie. Your chest. A swelling that feels like love but has no clear object. A tenderness that arrives without a name attached. You may have mistaken it for missing someone specific, when it is actually the body responding to Neptune's frequency, which is longing itself. Not longing for a person, longing for the feeling of being completely dissolved into another. That longing is sacred, but it is not a decision. And this square will try to convince you that it is. And your dreams. They have turned romantic, not sexual necessarily, but intimate. Faces appearing with impossible tenderness. Conversations you never had playing out in your sleep with the emotional resolution your waking life has not provided. Those dreams are Neptune rehearsing the illusion before it arrives in your day. Now let me show you where this fog is thickest. Because Venus in Cancer squaring Neptune in Aries activates specific houses in your chart, and the illusion it weaves is tailored to your sign. If you were born under Cancer or Cancer rising, Venus sits in your first house squared by Neptune in your 10th. The illusion is about your identity. You are projecting a version of yourself that you believe others need to see, rather than the person you actually are. The beautiful lie is not about someone else. It is about you. Capricorn or Capricorn rising, the 7th house. The lie lives in your closest partnership. Something you have been telling yourself about this relationship to keep it intact is about to be illuminated. Not to end it, to make it honest. Aries or Aries rising, Neptune sits in your first house squared by Venus in your 4th. The fog is around your sense of self, and it is being fed by an emotional attachment to home or family that you have not examined clearly. Someone in your inner circle is not who you need them to be. Libra or Libra rising, the 4th house meets the 10th. The illusion connects your private life to your public role. You have been performing stability at home or at work, and the gap between the performance and the reality is widening. Taurus or Taurus rising, Venus in your 3rd house squared by Neptune in your 12th. The lie hides in your daily words and your unconscious. Something you say to yourself every day, a story you repeat so often it has become invisible, is not true. The square makes it visible. Scorpio or Scorpio rising, the 9th house. The illusion is a belief, a philosophy or conviction about love that you adopted from someone else's experience and never tested against your own. That belief has been running your romantic decisions from behind the curtain. Gemini or Gemini rising, Venus in your 2nd house squared by Neptune in your 11th. The fog is around value and community. You may be undervaluing yourself to fit into a group, or overvaluing a connection because it makes you feel important. Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, the 8th house. The illusion lives in intimacy and shared resources. A financial or emotional exchange has been dressed in more romantic clothing than it deserves. Look at the terms, not the feeling. Leo or Leo rising. The 12th house meets the 9th. The lie is spiritual, a belief about destiny or fate that you have been using to avoid making a choice. Destiny is real, but it does not remove your responsibility to see clearly. Aquarius or Aquarius rising, the 6th house. The illusion has woven itself into your daily routine. A habit you call self-care may actually be avoidance. A wellness practice may be numbing rather than healing. Neptune here fogs the rituals. Virgo or Virgo rising, the 11th house squared from the 8th. A friendship carries a hidden weight. The dynamic between you and someone in your social circle is not as balanced as it appears. The square reveals the imbalance. Pisces or Pisces rising, Neptune in your 2nd house squared by Venus in your 5th. The fog surrounds your sense of worth and your experience of joy. You may be accepting less pleasure than you deserve because you unconsciously believe that wanting more is selfish. Now here is what you do with this. On the evening of May 21st, sit somewhere quiet with a piece of paper. Write the name of the person or situation in your life where love feels the most intense right now. Below the name, write 2 lists. On the left side, write what I feel. On the right side, write what I know. Let the lists fill themselves. Do not force them to agree. When you are done, look at the gap between the 2 columns. That gap is the fog. That gap is where Neptune lives. It is not evil. It is not a trick. It is the space between what your heart wants to be true and what your eyes can verify. And the practice is not to close the gap by force. It is to see it, to hold both columns in your hands and say, yes, I feel this, and also, I know this. Both are real. But only one of them is a foundation you can build on. On May 22nd, when the square is exact, do not make any romantic decisions. Do not send the message you drafted at midnight. Do not confess, do not confront, do not propose, do not leave. Let the fog pass. By May 24th, the square will have separated, and what remains will be clearer than anything Neptune allowed you to see during its peak. The most dangerous illusions are not the ugly ones. They are the beautiful ones, the ones that feel like coming home, the ones that wrap themselves in tenderness and whisper, "This is real," when what they mean is, "This is what you want to be real." Venus square Neptune does not destroy love. It asks whether what you are calling love can survive being seen clearly. And the love that can survive clarity is the only love worth keeping. If something shifted while you listened, write it below. Not the name, the gap. The distance between what you feel and what you know. That honesty is the only antidote to the fog. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because on May 25th, Mars squares Pluto, and the most explosive aspect of 2026 detonates what this fog has been concealing. You will want to be here. The universe has spoken. What comes next is in your hands.